welcome for this episode of the Change for African campaign. Being on Thursday, it's all about our fourth pillar of the Change for African campaign, where we dive on matters to do with the living standards of our people in Africa. This directly, we speak about directly things that people are going through in Africa generally. Still on the matters to do with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, we use one of their key targets to help us relate with the key target with the pillar number 4 of the Change for African campaign, all about the living standards. As we speak currently, still the living standard of the people of Africa, still they live in very dilapidated conditions. So we have to see on how we speak into that, and then we shall follow up with coming up with a very practical things to be able to see how we can improve the living standard of the people of Africa. So target 11.3 and United Nations Sustainable Goal number 11 is all about sustainable cities and communities, whereby 11.3 is all about enhancing inclusive and sustainable urbanization and capacity for participatory, integrated and sustainable human settlement planning and management in all countries. So looking at the target 11.3 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and bringing it in the African context, we realize that it is a very serious goal, that is a target that is supposed to be articulated and followed up to, and see that it's able to be implemented, because it is a goal, it's a target whereby speaking about inclusive and sustainable urbanization and capacity for participatory, integrated and sustainable human settlement planning and management in all countries in the world, remember. But now we speak this in the African context because we are Africans and Africa is our business. Looking at the current state of Africa in terms of urbanization, if we may pick that as an issue of discussion, still is a very huge disparity in terms of urbanization. And also because looking at some of the major cities, we can take an example of the nearest Nairobi city here. You realize that mostly now it's in the rainy season. You can see what is happening. Some places or some estates are actually going down. Some people are actually being displaced with because of the high rent. Why does that happen? It's because the huge disparity. While the same city, some areas are very comfortable, some areas are very prestigious, whereby people do not even there's no impact whether it rained or not. But then you can see that there's a very huge impact and a disadvantage to the people in the other states that are in the neighborhood that are may term them as very poor, because even you see them, just the environments around these areas very dirty, litter is everywhere. You see there is no proper sanitation in such areas. So you realize that in Africa we still have a very huge disparity when it comes to the urbanization in our cities across all the African countries. Because looking at Nairobi, it may even be better than other places, and if it is better than other places and that is what is happening, it means that now the worst place, it is very diabolical. It can't even be explained. So these are issues that we need to be discussing about and seeing what are the solutions for this, because we have been speaking this for so long. So I think it's time for us to now see how we can implement because these are global aspirations. And as I say that Africa is part of the global community. Once we have Africa being able to at least match up with the energy, or being able to implement this goal to some greater percentage, then the living standard of the people of Africa will start to be elevated, because these are things that defines the living standards of our people. Things to do with the urbanization, sustainable, urbanization and capacity, for participatory and integrated and sustainable human settlement. Because the settlement of human beings in our cities, it shows up. It's a very huge indicator of whether we are progressing or not. But currently, there's still a very huge problem that we cannot say we are progressing, because we are still lagging behind. Because once you have a city whereby there's it's patched into two sides, we have the side that is facing calamities, while the other side is living in very posh styles. It shouldn't be that way. It should be an equal or an equal playground where everybody is able to enjoy, the goodies of the African cities, because we are all Africans. So, and Africa is our business, and all Africans have the prerogative of being in well-defined neighborhoods or cities. So it calls for proper planning. It calls for interest. Actually, it calls for that empathy from the people who have been there before, because these are not issues that have started today. These are issues that have been there since then. And if we may not be able to address such issues as early as possible, this is posing a threat, danger when it comes to the future population of Africa, because Africa is developing at a very high pace, mostly when it comes to the human resource. These are human beings. The population of Africa is actually going at a very rapid pace, meaning that if we are not very critical or very serious about what we are doing currently in terms of our urbanization, because many people are now doing what we call the rural urban migration. Now they're migrating to the urban areas or the urban centers. So these are the cities of these countries. So once they migrate here, the population rises, and then it actually becomes it should be a blessing, or it should be a blessing, not a burden or a curse. Now it's a curse actually. So we need to see and interrogate ourselves of what we are doing as Africa in terms of making sure that Target 11.3 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal is implemented, at least so that Africa, because once Africa is able to work on that and implement that to some extent, or some percentage, even more than 50, then when it comes to the average global ranking, then we'll see that the goal has at least been able to be achieved to a huge percentage, rather than how it is currently. So fellow Africans, allow me to end it at that point. Let's meet tomorrow as we discuss about our fifth pillar of the Change for African campaign, which is all about the climate change that we face as an African continent. And let's meet then as we discover. Thank you and have a great evening.